In the beginner's guide to knots, you learn the basics. In the intermediate guide, you learned how many knots are just one step away from doing something completely different. In the advanced guide to knots, I'll show you how to take advantage of the properties of rope and where you might use them in the knots you tie. Have you ever used a pin as a toggle? You can do the same with rope. And just like a pin, we're relying on shear strength. This works well for any situation you need a temporary but secure hold. Pull the length you need into your rope and then give it a twist. We'll take our working end, lay one turn over the top, and then our bitter end is going to go up through that rabbit hole, around the tree, and then back down. We just need to make sure that our loops are equal and our bitter end here is longer than our loops are. Open your loops and place them around your anchor point. One loop will thread through the other, and then you'll place your bitter end right through. There we go. You can pull a whole lot of weight on this, but it will slip under extreme force. So if you're planning on snapping your rope, you just need to add a couple extra turns to your bowline there. It's been an anchor point in my truck bed, and also a great way to tie down tarps. Every rope has a memory, meaning it wants to go back to the shape it was before. We'll take advantage of this property to create a quick release. We'll go around our thumb once, then we'll cross over as we go around a second time. We'll take a bite of our free end and we'll run it through. As we pull in the tension, we want to make sure these two loops are separated right there. Okay. It works best when you have a short loop and a short end, so we're just going to run that through to make sure it's what we have. As we lower this, it springs back and we can pull our rope free.
I'll just grab onto the quick release. I'll pull on the cord in the opposite direction and it tightens up. If I want to loosen it, grab the quick release and just pull up. I'm just going to take the center portion of the rope and I'm going to lay it over the other side. And now I still have my 3 holes that I can weave in and out of. So let me take my rope, I'm going to pass it up, I'm going to pass it back down, and then I'm going to pass it through. Here we go. I've weaved in and out of those 3 holes. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pass it through this first hole, but first I'm going to add my quick release. And then I'm going to tighten everything down. But as long as I have everything cinched down here, if I pull on one side, I'm not going to get any movement. Pull on the other side, same thing, no movement. But if I do want movement, I'm simply going to pull on my quick release and then pull on either end that I want to move at the same time. There you go. Tighten it back down. This time I'm going to pull on this side. There we go.
Now you can see how that works as a slide buckle, but I've also used it to anchor an iPad to a headrest. On the right side of the doorway, we need a knot that will trip the counterweight into motion. That's the water bottle. On the left side, the knot needs to release under a certain amount of tension, but not before the tripwire. As you pull in tension to a knot, it increases the density, and we're going to use that hardness to support the system in creating a double tripwire. If I go around 3 times, then push 2 of those loops to the left and 1 to the right, I still get that pretzel formation, but I end up with 2 loops on the left-hand side. And so now I'm going to take my free end, I'll go from the back, through the front, and back out again. And watch what happens when I pull the opposite sides. I still end up with that 4-strand knot. The only difference is I have 2 loops in one of the corners. Now let me tighten this up so you can see why that's important. Once we pull in our tripwire, we want this extra loop to add it as a support. I can pull it in. There we go. And so what happens here is, here's my anchor at my thumb. I can pull on the opposite side with a lot of tension, and it's not going to release until this end, the tripwire end, pulls it free. Let me show you a little better view. So here's our knot and the loop that we made with it. This long side, that's our counterweight side. And so we go around our anchor point, we'll go on top of our knot,
and place it behind that double loop there. Now we can pull in our tension, and this other rope, this is our tripwire. Watch what happens. It's going to peel away the loop that we just placed. Now every rope has a certain degree of pliability, and what I mean by that is how far we can squeeze the rope when it's pulled into a bite. Here you can see it's about 1/4 inch. Now we can take advantage of that and use it to release our rope after a certain amount of tension has been applied to it. So here I'm going to make a single bite. I'm going to wrap my free end around twice, and then I'll bring it up through here, and this bite right there, I'm going to pull it through this little window. I will show you again. We'll pull it all tight. When I pull tension onto our knot, you can see this loop starts to collapse, and we get to the point where it has no more pliability and it starts to fight against the knot. Well, I'm going to rely on that certain amount of tension I need in order to break this knot, and that's going to give us enough to pop free while still triggering the tripwire. When I twist the plating of my rope, it folds over. We could take advantage of this in a retrieval system. First thing I'm going to do is tie a simple overhand knot at the very end of my rope, and I'll pull it tight so I don't have much excess at the end. Then I'll give myself enough length to form a loop, and I'll tie another overhand knot. From here I'll take the end and I'll place it right back through the overhand knot. Now this is tied so that if I kept on pulling, I would just create another knot, as opposed to going through the other end, and if I kept on pulling, the knot would slip out. Let's get back to where we were. There we go. And now this is where the magic happens. I'll clamp down on my free end there, and it's time to form the 90-degree bend on my loop. And to do that, I'm going to twist the plating so it binds up and folds over. So here we go. I'm going to twist clockwise. Twisting, it starts to turn the other way. And there it is, okay? From here, I can convince it a little bit. There we go. Now all I need to do is take my standing end and twist in a half hitch. I'm going to throw this right on top, and I'm going to capture the overhand knot at the very end. And that's just so it doesn't slip out once I start pulling on my rope. Just adjust everything up. There we go. Now I can take this and slip it through or under whatever I need to retrieve.
You can use this same idea for a loop and toggle. You turn your plating towards the knots, and that allows you to catch your object. Here's another way to use plating, by tracing the braid of the rope, which is why you see the gear spinning on the way down.
I'm just going to hook the end over after I run it through my rope. With this setup, I'm giving a twist. I'm just bringing it down. This is just a single twist. Okay. Pull that over my soft shackle there. And let's link this together. All right. Perfect.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, you can visit my shop at AwesomeForSale.com. Right now, until the end of March, we're giving away free leather slingshot kits with every order. Simply use coupon code MINISLING.